Okay, good morning. We're doing lesson 4-3 today. Getting closer and closer to multiplying 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. Today we're using estimating, so estimate. We're going to estimate with either rounding or compatible numbers. Okay, so the purpose of estimating is just to get an answer that's close to the one you want, so that you can give a quick answer to somebody. So in the book, one of the examples on page 138 talks about some workers who are picking apples in an orchard, and it says in one orchard they picked 14 dozen apples, and then in another orchard they picked 12 dozen apples. And then the problem also tells you that there is 12 apples in 1 dozen, so 1 dozen equals 12 apples. And then it asks you about how many apples altogether did they pick. It's asking you about. They don't want to know exactly how many, but you can just say like, oh yeah, it was about such and such, okay? So it's a quick answer. It doesn't have to be exact, just to get an idea of how many. So first, we have to turn this into a multiplication problem with all this information, okay? So we're going to add these two together to find out how many dozens altogether. So 14 and 12 is 26. Okay, and then we have to multiply it by 12 because each one of those dozens has 12 apples. So we have to multiply the 26 dozen by 12. All right, so there's our multiplication problem, and they don't want to know the exact answer. They just want to know about how many. So we can round or we can use compatible numbers. So let's start with rounding. If I were rounding, I would take 26 and I would look at the ones place and I would say, well, that's 5 or above. So that's going to round the 2 up to a 3, and that's going to be 30. And if I round 12, I look at the 2 and that's 4 or below. So that keeps it a 1. Okay, so we're rounding down to 10. All right. And then you get to use our strategies that we used earlier in chapter 4, which is multiplying the first 2 digits and adding on the zeros. Okay, so with rounding, I get 300. And let's do, this was rounding. And down here, we'll do compatible numbers. Okay, compatible numbers can be any number of your choice that is close to the original number that's easy for you to multiply. Okay, so you get to pick what you want to multiply. 26, I would use 25, okay, because 25 is like a quarter, and quarters are easy to think of in like dollars, okay? 4 quarters equals $1, which is 100. So those are that's easy to think about in your head, okay? So let's change 26 to 25. Okay, and that's my choice. I could have chose 20, I could have chose 30. 25 is closest, and it is easy to do in your head. And then for 12, I'm going to use 10 because, and I mean, we did round with 10 also, but I'm going to use 10 for my compatible numbers because it's an easy number to multiply and it's close to 12. Okay, so times 10. And so then I'm doing 25 times 1, that's 25, and a 0 for the 0 there, so 250. So when I use compatible numbers, I got 250. When I used rounding, I got 300. Both answers are close enough to what it would actually be, and that's how you do it. So in the remainder of this lesson, you're going to be picking whether you want to round or whether you want to use compatible numbers to estimate for the answers that you get. So let's do a couple more and then I'll assign your problems. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. That is 39 times 19. Okay, well, looking at this problem, I don't think it matters if I round or use compatible numbers, because either way, I would probably do the same thing, because 39 is super close to 40, and 19 is super close to 20, and that just makes it really easy. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 2 zeros. So the answer to this would be around 800, very close to 800. So let's take a look at number 8. Uh, 28 times 27. Okay, so this one is a little bit more to think about. Okay, so I could use compatible numbers, or I could round, or I can do both. Okay, when I look at these, I think, well, 28 is really close to 30, and if I rounded, it would be 30. So I'm going to use 30. Now 27, I could go to 25, which is my quarters, which are easy to count by because I'm thinking of money. Or I could round it up to 30. But since I already rounded this up to 30 and it's a little bigger, if I use 25, that makes this a little smaller. And then it kind of balances out the estimating that I'm doing, okay? So if I make this number a little bigger and this one a little smaller, it'll probably balance out and be closer to the actual answer. So that's what I'm going to do, and 25s are easy to do in your head because you're just thinking money. So 3 quarters, or 3 times 25 is 75, and a 0, so 750, okay? So I used a little bit of both for that. I rounded 28 to 30, I used a compatible number for 27, and I got an answer that's probably as close as I can get, okay, using easy numbers. All right, so it was number 8. I'm going to erase that. And on this page, 139, you are going to do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. Okay, then we're going to look at page 40, and I'm going to do a problem for you, and then I'll assign the rest of what I want you to do. So I'm going to look at this first problem here, and it uses this chart. It's talking about oranges, like an orange orchard, and I'm going to do number 15, okay? So it says about how many more Valencia orange trees than Temple orange trees does Mr. Gonzalez have? So he has, for Temple trees, he has 38 rows. So for Temple trees, 38 rows. Okay, so if I had a picture of my orchard, he'd have all these rows of trees. Okay, 38 rows. And in each row, there is 28 orange trees. So that's 28, 28, 28, okay, in each of the 38 rows. Okay, so that's what his orchard looks like. So I'm multiplying the rows, the 38 rows, by the 28 trees in each row. Okay, so 38 times 28. And then I'm going to, because the answer, it asks me about how many more. So I'm rounding. Both of these are really close to the higher tens place. 38 is close to 40. And 28 is close to 30. Okay, they also round up to those numbers. So that's the simplest way for me to estimate that problem. So I'm going to do 4 times 3 is 12 and 2 zeros. Okay, so that's the Temple trees. Now I'm going to look at the Valencia. all right? And it's 31 rows with 46 trees in each row, okay? So 31 times 46. Let's see. I am going to, well, 31 is super close to 30, so I just got to pick that. And then 46, I'm just going to round it up to 50 because 40, if I use a compatible number and chose 45, it's not actually super compatible, okay? I mean, I could do 45 times 3 and I could figure that out, but that's just too much thinking, okay? I'm supposed to be quickly estimating and rounding, so I'm just gonna round it up to 50 and make it easy for myself, okay? And it's a close answer, it's close enough. So 3 times 5 is 15, and the 2 zeros, okay? So 1,500. And then it asks about how many more Valencia than Temple. So if I look here and I look at my hundreds place, because that's the only number that's different. I have my thousands are the same, my tens and my ones are the same. The difference here is in the hundreds. And here I have 5 and here I have 2. So that means that there's 300 more Valencia than Temple, okay? 300 more, about. Okay, just an estimation. All right, so that's how you use that chart. And the problem 16, you're using that chart too, so I'm going to have you guys do that one. So I'm going to erase this. Oh, darn it. I erased the other problem. Okay, so what was it? It was, so pages 139 and 140. And you're going to do 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14. Okay, and then on page 40, 16. Okay, 17, 18, 19, 20. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so why skippity problems for you on this one. All right, so you guys are doing all these problems. You can do them in the book. You can do them on binder paper. You can do them in a notebook. Whatever you do, take a picture of all your work, okay, solving the problems and everything. Take a picture of all of it. Turn it into Google Classroom. And I will see you tomorrow for our lesson 4-4. All right, bye guys.